So it looks like Games Workshop have revealed the new Blood Angels Combat Patrol, and it contains quite a lot of the new Sanguinary Guard and the new Captain sculpt. Let's take a look at the content and the numbers and compare the new box to the old. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking Blood Angels. In this video I thought we'd talk over the content of the new Combat Patrol that Games Workshop's just shared. As we've been talking about in the last few videos, it's the big Blood Angels launch week. This one sees the release of the Launch Box Army set, where you basically get the Codex data cards, all the Assault Intercessors Death Company type things, the Brutalis Dreadnoughts, and the 2 Jump Chaplains, and this one's going up for pre-order on the 24th of August. Then after that there'll be a few weeks delay, we don't know exactly how long before the main Codex release comes along, and that'll be where the main book comes out, the points go live, and we get things like that new Sanguinary Priest, and this Combat Patrol box set that's been revealed today. Looks like, as with a few of the Battle Force type things, Games Workshop might have been designing it, so there's at least some incentive to pick up both the Combat Patrol and the Army set, with the only unit overlap being Assault Intercessors, and you could use some of those as Death Company. As ever, if you're looking to pre-order the big box set, then feel free to check out the discount retailers links down in the video description. In general, they'd be the first place I'd go, rather than Games Workshop, as they directly save money, somewhere between 10 and 20% depending on where you are in the world. And for any picking those up through those discount links, they do support Allspecs Tactics a little. Here are the pre-order times around the world: midnight Eastern Time for the USA and Canada with Wargame Portal and Fenris Workshop, 10 AM UK time and 11 AM Central European time for Element Games and new German affiliate retailer Taschengeld Deep, and midday Australian Eastern Time for Gap Games over in Australia. As ever, if you are sure that you're picking it up, might be worth being there at least kind of early, as we don't know how many Games Workshop will make. Back to the subject in hand though, and let's take a look at this new Combat Patrol, which as mentioned should be coming out a good few weeks after the Battle Force box. I think it is good that we actually know the contents of this before the box set goes live, perhaps makes it a little bit easier for people to plan purchases and things. In the Blood Angels Combat Patrol box there'll be the new Blood Angels Captain, the one with the Inferno Pistol and Chainsword option, 2 sets of 3 of the new Sanguinary Guard, now able to be equipped with blades and spears but sadly not big wings, 1 set of 10 Assault Intercessors to provide some ferocious troops for the battle line, and then 2 sets of the Blood Angels Primaris upgrade sprue, which is the old one unfortunately, not the new one as they've shown off with this release, that is the one that comes in that launch box set. As ever with Games Workshop's Combat Patrols, this will be £100, $168 or €130. Taking a look as to how much of a discount deal that is, the Captain will likely be $42 individually, the new Sanguinary Guard $60, the Assault Intercessors just a little bit more at $62, and then the Blood Angels Primaris upgrades are now no longer on sale. But going by the equivalent Space Wolves, they used to sell them at $16.50 or £11. Putting that all together, if you bought the exact contents of this separately, if you could, this would all be $257 or £162, so an on-paper discount saving of $84 or £62. So if you include the upgrade sprues, that's a 36% discount, or a 27% discount if you don't include the upgrade sprues in your calculation, which I feel like might be appropriate enough for some, as I do feel like a bit of an upsell really. If we do go by the 27% figure, it's not the most standout of Games Workshop Combat Patrols, but it's not the very worst either. I feel like it's certainly enough to be worth considering if you did want copies of these units. For the 10th edition Combat Patrols, they've generally tended to be in the sort of 25% to 30% discount mark, a few of them a little more, a few of them a little less. At least for the on-paper discount it does look usable, and perhaps more so if you're a Blood Angels player who's seeking shoulder pads, and you will genuinely have good use and value out of those upgrade sprues. Looking at the contents of the box in a little bit more detail, I feel like the Blood Angel Captain will be quite a nice selling point. Rules-wise, he is basically just going to be a Space Marine Captain with some slightly different war gear options. You get the sort of relic chainsaw profile that we saw on the Combat Patrol datasheet. That will give you a whole flurry of attacks at Strength 4, AP 1 and Damage 2. I feel like the Inferno Pistol is genuinely pretty interesting as a fairly punchy sidearm, and you might genuinely want that paired with the Power Fist that he can take. That could well be worth it if you want an on-foot Captain versus the more generic Space Marine datasheet. Otherwise there's a fair bit of customization to the miniature. You've got Bolt Pistol versus Inferno Pistol on his hands, Power Fist, Power Sword or Chainsword for his melee weapon, 3 different head options including a standard Primaris helm with a laurel wreath, a death mask and a sort of bestial Death Company style face, a couple of options for his left shoulder pad including the Blood Chalice type one and a more standard wing, and the option to field his pistol more sort of firing or sort of cocked in the air. As it goes compared with some character sculpts, I feel like there's a fair bit of flexibility here, and recently he's been quite a strong choice for Blood Angels in game, often jumping out of an Impulsor alongside some Assault Intercessors in Sons of Sanguinius, being quite a scary threat on objectives. Overall, I think it's quite a big win for the box set. Nice to have a hero who's both useful and a bit of flavour. Then we've got the Sanguinary Guard, where it looks like this box set will be the place to get them if you want them. I feel like if you were going to pick up some of these and you wanted at least 2 sets, then you may as well go for the Combat Patrol really. It'd be $120 or £74 if you did want 2 sets of them, so it means that you're only paying an extra $48 or £26 to upgrade to the Combat Patrol. And that gets you the Captain, 10 Assault Intercessors, and 2 upgrade frames. I feel like for Warhammer miniatures, that seems kind of hard to pass up if you were getting Sanguinary Guard anyway. Unfortunately, these guys had a much more rocky reception than some of Games Workshop's other releases recently. I think for the most part the bodies and weapons look genuinely quite good. The biggest points of criticism are the jump packs, where they don't have those big ornate wings that they had. Not everyone likes the old jump packs, but I think people were hoping for some sort of cool reinterpreted wing design that might have looked a bit better than that, and Games Workshop just gave them slightly more standard jump packs with just wing symbols on the sort of ventilation flap type things. Not everyone likes the death mask heads that they have as well, maybe looking a bit Stormcast Eternal there. I feel like maybe having another alternative head swap might have done them quite well as opposed to bare heads versus death masks, and between heads and jump packs has put at least a few people off, as they're both really quite focal points of the model that were kind of important to get right. Worth saying though that while they did have a lot of criticism, they're not absolutely universally hated. I have seen plenty of people saying that they were an improvement, even if it seems like they might be in the minority. I'd say that I don't absolutely hate them, though I feel like Games Workshop could have done a bit better. I will be getting some of them for my Blood Angels, though I might look into some sort of alternative jump pack. I might even use the ones that I have on my current Sanguinary Guard and see how they look if I press gang them into service, or potentially try and look for something 3D printed. Model discussions aside though, I think it's kind of useful to have this many of them in a Combat Patrol box. They're the only mainline new unit release for Blood Angels, given that the Death Company are basically intercessors with upgrade sprue, and at least in the past they've typically tended to be one of the central damage dealing forces of the Codex, and more so before 10th edition. I feel like they might be more important post-Codex if anything, given that the Death Company won't be able to get full access to mass power fist or anything, so it looks like if you want fancy jump infantry with powerful power weapons, then these guys would be the way to go. In general though, I feel like it's quite nice to actually have some of the Blood Angels jump pack elites actually in the Combat Patrol box set. It did feel a bit weird that they didn't have that in the last one. Otherwise, we've got the 10 Assault Intercessors. These feel like a bit more of an appropriate troops choice for the Blood Angels than the previous Intercessors and Incursors were. And good to have the Captain have something to lead, unlike the Dark Angels with the Gravis Captain. I guess for Assault Intercessors, plenty of Blood Angels players might already have ample of them, I suppose. They were pretty easy to come by in 9th edition, being in Indomitus and the starter sets. Though I guess given that Death Company are quite so close to these guys now, you could probably just paint them up as on-foot Death Company. You'd need to find something to represent the Eviscerator if you didn't have spares of the upgrade sprue. But I feel like that could be one interesting attraction to them, and maybe give you a little bit more use out of them if you were a Blood Angels collector and you had plenty of these guys already. I guess that's one small positive of Death Company being a bit on the bland side these days, even if it would have been much better to have some bespoke miniatures for them. Then finally we get 2 of these Primaris upgrade sprues. These are the slightly more basic ones with just a few shoulder pads, 3 head swaps, and then a bolt pistol and chainsword for the Sergeant. I guess it doesn't hurt to have a few more flavour things to sprinkle into a unit. The charms and head swaps are nice enough, though I feel like it would have been nicer to get the new upgrade sprue, seeing as they've come out with one. It seems that that one will be just sold separately, though you do get quite a few of them in the launch box or so they say. So the launch box with the Death Company things might be the way to go if you want to have a stash of those to start with. Talking about the points in the box next, the Space Marine Captain currently is 80 points. I'd be kind of surprised if the Blood Angels datasheet was too different to that. He is basically going to be the same rules, but with a slightly different war gear choice. The Assault Intercessors are 150 points currently, and I'd estimate that it might be something like around 135 points for the new Sanguinary Guard. The current ones are 155 points. I'd guess that the 3-man squad will probably be a little bit less than that, even with their inflated stat lines and boosted damage output. They might not have quite the same weight as the 5-man squad. I feel like this could really go either way though, depending on whether Games Workshop makes them quite cheap or quite expensive in the Minotaur and Field manual. I feel like that's handy enough as a ballpark estimate though. It should mean that there's around about 500 points worth of Space Marines in this box set, and that's much better than several combat patrols that they've done recently. For the 10th edition ones, that's one of the highest out of them. It might just be the Custodes one that had more points in the box than these. 3 points per dollar is handy enough, and this one does genuinely look like it could be helpful to new Blood Angels collectors. Nice to get one themed character and 2 sets of their elite jump infantry. It's definitely got a bit more flavour than the last one. Talking of which, this will be the combat patrol that it's replacing. This one had the Primaris Librarian, the Intercessors and Incursors, 3 Aggressors, an Impulsor, and again 2 copies of that same upgrade sprue. The discount on this one was a bit better at 36% off, and more if you had the upgrade sprues into that tally. The points a little less at 435. For this one, I'd say it wasn't really a good Blood Angel starter box, but genuinely quite a good starter box for standard Space Marines. I thought it was good to have a bunch of small units, plus the generic transport of the faction, all at a discount, and the discount on this was better than most of the other Space Marine combat patrols on offer. These are now out of production from Games Workshop, so there won't be more rolling off the assembly line. You might have a bit of luck finding them either online or in discount retailers around the place. I noticed that out of my affiliate links, Element Games in the UK still has some in stock at £85 if you wanted to grab them before they're gone. That's links down in the video description. I guess from here on out, though, without any more supply, they'll get gradually harder to find. For the numbers, nice to have a slight increase in points cost anyway. Looks like it'll be a significant upgrade on the last one on that front, even if my estimates do wind up being a bit off. Looks like at 500 points that'll be a 12% increase in points, though as mentioned the discount does look like it's gone down, around about 14% less in terms of dollar value in the kit, though to be honest that's more of a 10th edition thing than a Blood Angels kit thing. Besides perhaps the Tyranids, just about every Combat Patrol box set has gone down in terms of discount. Finally, as well as it just being a useful box for collecting Warhammer 40k in general, it will also have its own Combat Patrol rules in Codex Blood Angels. This one's going to be fielded as the Sanguinary Spearhead, and as per normal for Combat Patrol games, you get the choice of 2 different enhancements to give your leader, this guy a Captain Raudeo apparently, the choice of a couple of secondary objectives, and 3 different stratagems. They still get their core rule, but given that they're Space Marines, they have Oath of Moment for that, so we don't get any sneak previews of detachment rules or anything, sadly. For this Combat Patrol, it looks like the Red Thirst is realised by an optional enhancement, so this won't be the new Sons of Sanguinius rule or anything like that. The Red Thirst for this one, though, basically gives you a move closer style move. I guess you have your captain leading the assault intercessors, and then their squad surges forward 6 inches, potentially into close combat if they're near enough. Kind of like the Khorne Berserkers do for the World Eaters, and it's all very scary if you're trying to fight with them on midfield objectives. The other preview was a stratagem called Refuse to Bend. This one's a durability one. It gives your unit a 6+ Feel No Pain type save, increasing up to a 5+ Feel No Pain ability if you're being shot from greater than 12 inches away. I guess that seems handy enough to stop your units being shot to death too much at long range, and means that hopefully they should survive to get in close and get to melee. For this Combat Patrol rule set, looks like the captain takes the Inferno Pistol and the Chainsword. As you can see, that's the new profile there. 7 attacks at Strength 4, AP 1 and Damage 2. Realistically, for mainstream games of 40k, that's not going to outcompete the Power Fist, though it could be fun if you wanted to just field him in a fun and fluff sort of loadout, though kind of hard to balance on Games Workshop's part if they're not doing any points for war gear. In any case though, let me know what you make of the new box set. How would you weigh this up versus the Blood Angels launch box? Is it looking like a good deal to you or not? I feel like it's at least fairly good design that the overlap isn't enormous between the box sets. I guess you'd get 2 copies of the Assault Intercessors, though given that you could field one as Death Company and one as regular ones, that at least gives them a bit more of a use case. I suspect I'll be picking up at least 1 copy of the Combat Patrol box sets to get some of the Sanguinary Guard, and put a few of the Wingless Wonders on the table for my Blood Angels. In any case, as mentioned, if you're looking to pre-order the launch box, these are the times where it goes live for the channel discount retailers at the weekend, and a big thank you to any folks buying through those. It does go to help support the channel a little bit and keep all the videos coming. Hopefully Games Workshop managed to make enough of these. The Deathwing Assault box set was a little bit in too short supply really. In any case, let me know your thoughts, and feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, with new ones out every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that there's also an Auspex Tactics Patreon page down in the video description if you did want to help support the channel a bit more directly. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.